Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my girlfriend Carol. How you doing today, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. It's been a good week here. It's January 17th, 1998.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, why?
I don't know, because I couldn't quite understand the year. I thought maybe you were getting confused.
Oh, really?
Since, it's January. Like, I'm still writing 97 on all my checks and stuff. You?
Yeah. Writing a lot of checks, huh?
I pay bills.
Do you? She's in charge of everything, everyone. Just in case you needed to know that. Oh, what a look in your steely eyes today,
What
Carol.
the fuck? My steely eyes.
Yeah, they're at half-mast right now.
That's so mean, steely eyes. You have steely eyes.
They're blue.
Okay, is that what steely means? Because I thought it meant like rough, like...
Rough?
Yeah, like...
In your rough eyes.
Like a
Those
mean
are eyes
person.
eyes that have been polished by sandpaper. Or steely. These are some rough eyes.
I don't know, like a steely glare. I don't know. It just always seems like mean. Like you're saying I'm mean.
Mean,
Am I not mean?
No.
Good.
No, it's hard to be mean when you look like you should be the star in the movie that we saw.
Hey.
Because you look a little bit more than half-baked. You're...
I wish.
That's the look you have. Yeah, because that's all we need. With the way you're feeling right now.
I want to have...
You'd be comatose.
I want to have drugs that make me fly, though. That was cool.
Wow. Anyway, so real quick, let's get into the news before we get into the film. Are you familiar with John Glenn, Carol?
The high school?
That's true. There's a high school around here called John Glenn High School, but no, I'm talking about the human Colonel John Glenn.
No.
Astronaut, first man to circle the globe.
Oh, good for him.
In space.
I assumed. How else would one circle the globe?
Like in a boat. Like Magellan. You could circumnavigate the globe.
Sure. Whatever.
Okay. Anyway. So it appears as if 36 years after his first flight in 1962, Colonel John Glenn will get to go into space again.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he's 76 years old.
Oh, what the fuck? Leave him on the Earth. What are you doing?
He has been volunteering himself for the last few years to do a mission, apparently because they would like to examine or study the effects of space on aging,
wow.
the elderly, stuff like that. And I guess he loves being an astronaut, so he has volunteered to do it again, and it looks like they're going to let him do it.
That sounds so awful and dangerous. Like, what does weightlessness do to hollowed out bones?
Oh my God. If he goes, the once boyish-looking Marine test pilot, now 76, would be the oldest person ever to travel in space. When he first went up on February 20th, 1962, he was the model of the lean, fit astronaut later portrayed in the book and movie The Right Stuff. News of Goldwyn's approval, that is the director of NASA's administrator, could not be confirmed officially. It was being reported by CNN and MSNBC and the Associated Press, which said Glenn would be on the Shuttle Discovery and the mission scheduled to begin October 8th. Although he is in good physical condition, Glenn would need extensive training before he could fly aboard the spacecraft, which is vastly more complex than the one he flew on 36 years ago.
Well, isn't he just there as more of like a science experiment than like an actual astronaut?
Essentially, yes, but everyone that flies on the shuttle has some sort of job, and they have to be able to do something.
Yeah.
Plus, they have to know how the ship operates. I mean, it could come down to everyone dies on the shuttle
Dear God.
except for him, and then he would have to he'd have to know how to pilot the ship in an emergency to save himself.
That'd be like, if we all needed to learn how to land a plane just in case.
But it's a little bit different because the risk of disaster on a space shuttle is infinitely more than on an airplane. One, and two, he is a trained astronaut. I mean, he was a pilot. So
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying they need to update him on the things.
Sure.
But what about Cracker?
Cracker.
Yeah.
What about Cracker?
Cracker has a new night, but same mission, viewers. I would say they're struggling for viewers because I have never heard of Cracker.
I was going to say, are you talking about Ritz? Like Wheat Thins? Like, what's going on? Why are we talking about crackers?
Psychologist Jerry Fitzgerald is perfectly in control of his impressive intellect and not much else. Not his gambling, his drinking, or his tattered marriage. Cracker, the ABC crime drama featuring a character has its own control dilemma. It certainly has a nice, tight grip on its dark and decadent written stories. And series star Robert Pastorelli has a handle on the complex fits, does he? But time slot and network promotion and support elements that make or break a series are out of its hands. Producer James said, and so is Lynn Elber. Learn how to write better.
Right?
No offense, but this is a really jumbly written article here. Anyway, so they've retitled this series.
Oh, jeez. Do you think that's going to help, huh?
It's Cracker, Mind Over Murder. That's sure to do it, guys.
Oh, wow.
The series opens on a two-parter, concluding January 24th, about a sniper in Los Angeles who appears to be targeting black women. It's a gripping story with a cliffhanger at the end of its first hour. That is how two-part shows work.
Oh, my God. Is that why they call it Cracker? Because they're targeting black women?
No, I think it's Cracker because he cracks the case.
Oh, okay.
It's weird because they say psychologist, but apparently he is working with the law. So he's like an FBI psychologist,
Forensic
I guess,
psychologist?
something like that. Yeah. Sounds dumb,
Sure.
but good luck, Cracker. And
the show sounds dumb.
Cracker fans.
The name is just unfortunate. Crime mystery stuff, that usually does okay.
Yeah, sure.
But no.
I don't know, sitcoms.
Mind over matter.
Sitcoms reign supreme.
Yeah,
But-
sure. But Murder, She Wrote was popular, and
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know, Columbo.
Wow. Good job. You came up with two of them.
I did.
One of them from the 70s. The other one from the 80s. But yeah, you got two of them.
I'm very proud.
There's also, I think Marcus Welby, MD, was kind of a crime show.
I've never heard of that one.
Kojak.
I have heard of it because I think that was another thing that we talked about before that I had never heard of, but you said it because you're old.
Yeah. What about Kojak?
No.
Oh, you don't remember Telly Savalas?
No.
Bald guy?
No.
Sucker Yo used to smoke or whatever, but he quit smoking, so he had suckers. Just was always on a sucker.
That just sounds sad.
They would say, "Who loves you, baby?"
Very sad.
Yeah, very sad. You got it. Anyway, so we got, before we talk about the movie, we're going to talk about hot videos here. The hottest selling videos. You want to take a guess as to any of them?
What was the hottest movie last year?
Well, I'm going to say that we watched several of these movies. We did several of them for tapes, so
Let me think.
you can give me any of them.
See, I want to say Titanic, but I don't think that would be
No,
on
it's
video
not.
yet because
Fuck
it's still
no.
in the theater.
It's still in the theaters, yeah.
Kiss the Girls?
Ooh, no, but good guess. I don't think that's out on video yet.
Okay, so that must be something we watched early in the year. I don't know.
Here come the
Oh, Men in Black.
Men in Black's the number one sales.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that.
My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh, that was such a fun one.
Something that's not a movie, but you like. Hercules and Xena.
Oh, yeah.
Scream.
Sure.
George of the Jungle.
Ugh.
West Side Story, which was re-released.
No, we didn't watch that.
Sling Blade.
Meh.
From 2 years ago, I think. I liked that movie.
I don't remember that movie.
The Lost World. It was French fried potatoes.
What in the fuck?
French fried potatoes. The Lost World, The Land Before Time 5. We didn't see it. And Air Bud, which we also did not watch.
Well, no, because it's a kids movie, and,
And
we're
we don't
not
have
kids.
children. Then The Rentals, there's Conspiracy Theory.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Conair.
Sure, I liked that one.
My Best Friend's Wedding again. Men in Black again. Contact. We didn't do that one.
No.
Face. Off.
I loved that movie.
Another one we didn't see, Fire Down Below.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing
I believe
about
that's
that
about VD.
movie.
Out to
sure.
Sea. I don't think we watched that, did we? Out to Sea. Spawn.
Oh, that was terrible.
Oh, it was such a good movie.
I feel like I'm reliving the past year of our life right now, just going over these movies. So.
And then George of the Jungle.
Ugh.
Yep. But speaking of ick, or maybe yay,
No, it was ick.
we watched Half Baked, a movie written and starring a guy named Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah,
Like it's French?
I guess.
Chappelle. Dave Chappelle. Oh
I mean,
la la,
it-
Dave Chappelle.
It's not spelled like Chapel. It's spelled like Chappelle. It's
Yeah.
spelled like it's French.
He's a stand-up comedian who I have seen before. Who's pretty funny. As
Yeah.
a stand-up, he's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But this movie...
It tried
in
real
contrast-
hard to be funny.
Let me tell you, the beginning of the movie was funny to me.
Yeah, there
It
was some.
started off
humor.
promising. Mm-hmm. But it didn't have... The movie was only an hour and 22 minutes long.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, that barely counts as a movie.
And its premise didn't have enough to stretch over that hour and 22 minutes.
No, there was a lot of scenes of people who smoked this magical, wonderful weed to start flying around.
This, you know what this is? This is a sketch
Yeah,
on Saturday Night Live.
yeah.
That's what this is. Maybe Dave Chappelle Chappelle has a future writing sketches. Like for Saturday Night Live or whatever.
Maybe.
Or The Kids in the Hall. That show's not on anymore. But to me, that's how this humor is. There's not enough premise there for a whole movie. That's why the beginning of it's pretty good. There's some very funny kind of almost throwaway stuff that is hilarious when the movie's essentially about drugs,
Right.
obviously. And it features 4 potheads and we'll get into the plot for a minute, but go ahead. Explain the movie.
Well, no, I mean,
You're antsy over there. Do it.
it starts, yeah, when they're kids and they smoke for the first time. They're like introducing the 4 characters, and then they're like, and then our 5th member of our group, marijuana. And it was so funny. It reminded me of the first time I ever smoked because they're all like, I don't feel anything. This stuff's not working. I think everybody thinks that the first time that they smoke. And then it's like, you're just so high. You just have no idea.
Right. Well, it's funny, too, because not that we do drugs at all, but there's a point when they first smoke the pot and they go into the pot and then they go into the drugstore and they're looking for things and everything. And they start to float like a little bit. Mm-hmm. I had that experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was driving a car, and we were going to
Shame on you.
okay, but we were going to a fast food place to get burgers. Okay, and I said to my friend that was sitting next to me, I was like, I feel like I'm floating away. Like I did. I really felt like I was floating.
And you were driving the fucking car.
Yes, up
Jesus.
out of the car. And he said to me, he goes, relax your eyes. And I did. I relaxed my eyes, and I felt like I dropped right into my body.
How weird.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah, you shouldn't have been driving, mister.
No.
That's awful.
Okay, let's not dwell on the terrible decisions I made. And let's talk about the movie. I was relaying well, shame on you for smoking pot and saying you didn't feel anything.
I'm not ashamed that I smoked pot.
Okay, well, you should be.
Okay. Anyway.
It's the devil's lettuce. Anyway, so yeah,
Reefer madness.
go ahead. They get high.
Yeah. I mean, okay, then they're adults. Like, it just immediately changes to them being adults. And they're all still friends.
I think half the movie could just have been like the screenplay has to say the phrase "they get high" like 1,000 times. That has to be half the screenplay.
Right. But one of them becomes a kindergarten teacher.
The best kindergarten teacher.
Because he's so mellow. One of them becomes a fast food guy.
Yeah.
Like, he works in a fast food restaurant.
Fast food guy.
I'm trying to remember what the other one does. Dave
Works at a record store.
Yeah, the best job for a stoner. And then Dave Chappelle's character is a janitor.
Correct.
But he wants to be called a custodian.
Yes.
It's very important to him.
And
I don't understand that. Like, what? It's the same job, whether you say janitor or custodian. What does it, like, as I've heard people say this before. Oh, it's rude to say janitor. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that was a pejorative term.
Yeah, apparently.
Either way, it means you're mopping up.
Right. Your job didn't change just because they call you a custodian instead of a janitor.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah, if back in slavery times they called the slaves entrepreneurs, do you think that would have been better?
No.
These aren't slaves. These are agricultural technicians.
Right. But yeah, so they it's like Friday night. They're all excited to get high. They spend a lot of time on that.
Here's the thing. They get this special strain. Oh wait.
No, they haven't gotten the special strain yet.
You're right.
But
God, that guy didn't even get to partake in the special strain.
No, but they spend a lot of time like obtaining the pot. And, like, it turns out they end up getting it delivered anyway. But he's, like, going around all the places where he could get it. And he's talking about how easy it is to get it, but it's not.
Right.
But then there's this one guy who will deliver.
It's weird because most of this movie is, like, it wants to be like a documentary. Like, here's what being a pothead's like in New York City. You go to bodegas. You can also go to Washington Square. You can do this. You can get it delivered, blah, blah, blah. And then later, when they start their delivery service, they're like, here's this type of pot smoker and that type of pot smoker and this type of pot.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what the sketch would be. Mm-hmm. And I felt like Jon Stewart's character, MTV's own fired Jon Stewart, who's in this movie, who is, they call him the enhancement smoker, where he's like, oh man, have you ever seen Scarface? Yeah. You ever seen it on weed? I'm going to look at the stars on weed. You ever seen the back of a $20 bill on weed? And it's like that joke doesn't even last the 4 jokes that you give it. But I felt like Jon Stewart's character because I was like, maybe this movie would be better on weed.
Oh, 100% it would have been better. Yes, for sure. But
I think that's how you're supposed to. There should be a notice at the beginning of the film. Now is when you take your edible.
Right. Oh, jeez. So, okay. They get super high. They have no food.
Yeah. They get high first. Then they're like, oh, we need snacks.
And they make this list, this like mammoth list of snack food, and
A ridiculous list.
Yeah, and send the teacher guy out to obtain
Jim
the
Brewer
food.
Makes most of the list. Jim Brewer makes most of the list.
Yeah. And he gets all this food, and then he runs into a police horse and feeds the police horse all the food, and then it dies.
Like an idiot.
Like, what?
Because the horse is a diabetic.
Yeah, but why?
What did it die of? Did it die, like, its glucose just shot way up?
It was weird. It was stupid.
It just collapsed.
It wouldn't have happened. First of all, the horse would not have eaten all of that.
No.
Like, the horse was a willing participant in this, and I don't think that would happen.
Can horses even get diabetes?
I don't know. I think they just eat, like, hay and apples.
Did they do any research on this? That horse ate way too many apples.
But then...
Got the diabetes.
Right? But then the most ridiculous part of this movie is that he gets tried for murdering an officer of the law.
Right.
Because it's a police horse.
Come on.
Like, what the fuck?
It's a little ridiculous.
More than a little. Like, he didn't try to kill it. And, like, the horse chose to eat the stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was being stupid, but he definitely wasn't guilty of murder.
We get some vignettes of him in prison. Mm-hmm. Dropping the soap and trying to be raped by this dude.
He's not trying. He's trying the opposite.
No. Not he's trying to get raped. Yeah, he's like there. Oh, come on. Oh, I dropped the soap. And all the people in prison are like, oh, that's gross. That would be a funny skit. If they had done that instead, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been.
If he would have been trying to get raped the whole time and they were disgusted by it. They're like, oh, we don't know what you've been reading, but...
Oh, that would have been so much
We are
funnier.
more refined here. But, no, I mean the guy, Nasty Nate or whatever his name is trying to rape him.
Right.
There is one funny joke in the whole prison thing where he's writing that he doesn't want to be raped by Nasty Nate and all this stuff. And on his cell, there's a calendar, and it's just Nasty Nate is like the pinup in the calendar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this a calendar that the prison puts out of all, like, the top rapists in the prison? Or is it just Nasty Nate put money out to make this calendar? It's him in different poses? What is going on with this calendar?
Good question. It's a good question.
So that was funny.
Yeah.
But not much else in that thing was funny. They got fucking Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong.
Right.
He was Chong in Cheech and Chong.
Well, yeah, they had a lot of celebrities in this movie.
And they wasted him. He was called Squirrel Master or something like that. And I guess he knew martial arts, and he had a squirrel in his pocket that we saw once. And that was it.
Yeah. Well, they had Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg showed up for a minute.
But, I mean, like, they didn't really do anything with him either.
No, he was the vulture smoker.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a skit that the different kinds of pot smokers. And you put that on Saturday Night Live, and you're like, and then there's the vulture smoker, and he comes out, and it's Snoop Dogg. Everyone's like, oh, yay, because it's Snoop Dogg. And, like, that's
Right.
half the joke.
Right. Well, and, like, okay, so the premise of this movie is they're friends in prison, and they set bail at, like, $100,000.
They set bail at $1 million.
Oh, $1 million, but they have to come up with
10%.
100,000, yeah.
Because you need to get 10%, yes.
To get him out.
Correct.
And they need to get him out before he gets raped. That's the whole goal. It's like a video game.
That's the ticking clock in the movie is until he gets raped.
Because there's somebody protecting him, but they're going to be,
Tommy Chong.
getting out, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they start their own weed delivery business because they discovered this, like you said, this special strain of weed.
Well, they didn't discover it.
It was weird. Like, they're working in the hospital.
Were you high when you were watching this? The place where David Chappelle works,
Dave Chappelle.
where he works, is a pharmaceutical company.
Right.
One day, one of the scientists, and this is one of the funny jokes in the movie, and this is the beginning of the movie where the jokes are funny. And it's where I think you can see, and his stand-up, like I said, is pretty funny too. So I think you can see the seeds of something funnier here.
Right.
But, because this is funny, and it's not predicated on the, like, let's lean really heavily into the weed references, because this movie, it wants to be a stoner comedy, which is fine, but it leans way too much on the stoner part of it,
Yeah.
to me. But anyway, so the scientist guy keeps calling him janitor. He's like, janitor, can you do I know it's not your job, but janitor, can you do this for me? And instead of like looking at his name tag or calling him sir or anything like that, Chappelle calls him scientist.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious to me. Because it's a funny title to call somebody.
Right.
Because it's so non-specific, and I don't know what it is, but just the sound of it is funny. And he's like, "Oh, thank you, scientist." He's like, here, look, I know this isn't your job, but here, take this mop. Can you just mop this shit up until I get back?
Yeah, because he sends him to go pick up something, and it turns out to be
a pound of weed.
A pound
of medical grade medical marijuana. They're studying if there's any medicinal purposes, and I don't know if this scientist wanted it for his own use or if he was going to steal some or whatever, but he seemed to understand that, like, this was weird or whatever, and he's like, oh, take some for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, he gave him some, and Chappelle's taking, like, handfuls of it, and while he's looking away, he's grabbing more handfuls of it, which was also funny. So they go back and they smoke it, thinking about how we're going to help our friend. And then, as you said, they fly Superman style out of the. Is this supposed to be real? Is it supposed to not be real?
I don't think it's real. I think
yet
it's just
later,
supposed to be a
it
metaphor.
helps them.
Huh?
Doesn't it help them later?
I don't know. Maybe. It was so stupid I kind of checked out towards the end.
Yeah, I know how you checked out. So, anyway, but it makes them fly and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, what we should do is we should sell this because there's this dude that sells it. I can't remember his name, but the drug dealer had a name.
Yeah, he did.
Who did the delivery service. He's like, we should do it. We'll call it Mr. Nice Guy, and it's a smiley face and everything. And they do some samples, and they give them out to people, and with their information on it. And
Which was really smart.
Yeah, absolutely smart business move. And then they start making a bunch of money.
Yeah, so they're trying to get the money together to get their friend out, but they're also spending it on a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chappelle meets some woman named Mary Jane.
Whose father was in prison for marijuana.
For being a marijuana dealer.
Yeah.
Which I guess is why he named her Mary Jane.
Right.
It's kind of funny.
And she absolutely hates drugs.
Yes.
Like, why would a pothead who knows that, like, even try? But he goes for her.
Because he wants to have sex.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll just quit smoking. Like, a bunch of times he says he's going to quit. He'll never quit.
No.
He's a liar.
He has sex with her a lot, though.
Yeah, that happens.
Which we see as a series of photos.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but whatever. And then the other thing that happens is that the one guy gets fired from his job at the record store.
Yeah.
The other guys quit, besides Chappelle, because he needs to keep getting the drugs.
Right.
But everyone else quits to run the drug empire.
Because they're making so much money.
Right. But the Jim Brewer gets fired before he can quit. And he reenacts the scene from Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, that was funny. And somebody does go with him. Like, what? No, nobody would do that.
The lesbian.
Yeah.
And she becomes their secretary.
But nobody would do that.
She's their Ghostbusters Jan.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't great.
I didn't love it.
I didn't hate it.
It wasn't terrible. It's a very uneven movie. Mm-hmm. The first half is pretty good. Well, I don't even know if the first half. The first 30 minutes.
There you go.
Is decent. And there's some funny stuff in there. And like I said, there's some funny jokes, along the way, but it's stretched way too thin. Not enough happens. There's not enough, there are barely any scenes with Mary Jane.
Well, there's the one that was kind of interesting where they go on a date and he has no money.
Yeah. And it shows how that's also another sketch.
Right.
How you can go on a date and only spend $8 and stuff like that. That's a sketch idea.
Yeah, she wants to go get food and he's like, how about a hot dog?
Yeah, exactly. And so, but there's barely, we barely get a character from her.
Yeah.
Other than I hate drugs, my dad was a drug dealer.
And I like having sex with you.
Yeah, I guess. And yeah, she gives 3 strangers a ride home from prison.
Yeah, that's not very smart.
No, so she's dumb. But yeah, I don't get it. So, and that's the other thing is like, if we want that love story to be believable, I know it's a comedy, but like, we could take a few things seriously,
Yeah.
or put at least a little effort into some of this stuff. There has to be an emotional core to a comedy that you care about,
Right.
so you can care about the characters. And that is missing. There's no heart in this movie.
Very true. Yeah, there's really not much to care about or root for, really.
There's some funny bits, and like I said, in a sketch, you don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
In a very short like thing, but that's what this feels like. Is more like a series of comedy vignettes, some of which are funnier than others. But there's no central drive to the story, and there's no heart at the center of the story.
Right. I mean, this movie was, like you said, an hour and 22 minutes long, and it felt long.
Yeah, it did. It felt a lot longer. Like, it felt longer than Titanic, which
Right.
was more than twice this length.
Exactly, and that's why. Like, yeah, it should have just been like throw it on the TV sketch for like half an hour. That would have been much better.
I mean, you get Bob Saget standing up at a like a, what do they call them? Not a rehab, but you know what I'm talking about.
Meeting, an AA meeting, or
one of
NA
those meetings.
meeting, or whatever.
Yeah, an NA meeting. You get Bob Saget standing up there saying that he sucks cock for cocaine. And that marijuana is not a real drug, and he shouldn't even be complaining about, doing marijuana and trying to get off of it or whatever. Which is somewhat funny because you have like America's Dad saying that. But that's not really funny. It's kind of like the Snoop Dogg thing where it's only funny because of who it is.
Who it is, yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, so there are some hit and miss bits, but other than that, to me it's very skippable.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, I 100% wouldn't go to the theater.
Right.
I would see it. I would rent it on video
And get high.
Maybe get high.
If that's your thing.
Watch it that way. I think that would be perfectly fine.
But yeah, if you're watching it sober, it's not great.
No, we endured it for you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week will be better.
Fingers crossed.
But that is our episode, Carol. I don't know. Do the thing that you do at the end of the show.
So you can write us at latefee1994AOL.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check out our website at www.retrolatefee.com.
Yes.
And share the tapes with your friends.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.